Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. At this point, it looks pretty inevitable that the United States under Donald Trump are going to seize Kharg Island after having bombed it, yes, about 48 hours ago now. Let's take a look at the topography of Kharg Island and have a look at what an American invasion is likely to look at. A lot of people have speculated that the USS Tripoli incoming with a Marine Expeditionary Unit from PACOM, the Japanese area of operations, is going to be used to seize the island World War II style. That is highly unlikely. A sea-borne seizure of Kharg Island would be borderline suicidal. If you've got this, LARPing, Saving Private Ryan fantasy in your house about a naval landing, then you're basically kind of hoping for the deaths of about 3,000 American young men and women. Since I presume you're not psychotic, as for operational security more broadly, I'm not American. I don't give a shit. This is speculation or informed speculation based on public domain information. If it's coming, Iran knows. I'm not telling any secrets. And if I was, I would not give a shit either way, because America is Canada's enemy now, and so it goes. So to the north, east of Kharg Island, you've got the airport terminal. It was cratered by the American bombing. Military garrisons to the north and south, and along the eastern edge of the island. The southern edge is taken up by the oil terminal, which was apparently not bombed, although there are reasons to believe, based on GPS interference theories, that it is possible that American quote-unquote smart bombs may have hit some targets accidentally down there. Center of the island is pretty heavily garrisoned. There's about 9,000 members of Iranian personnel on the island, and everything around it is mined. Any invasion of Kharg Island or seizure of Kharg Island has already been sort of partially shaped by the airborne operations or aerial operations that have taken place. It is very highly likely that a lot of this was suppression of enemy air defense, SEAD missions, to take out any remaining air defenses, SAM sites, etc., that might be left on the island. Although, if the oil terminal area to the south, to include the jetties, was not hit, that's going to be problematic. Now, if this unfolds, the so-called, keys to the kingdom are twofold. There's the oil terminal itself, and whatever's left, the military control and command. What is most likely to occur because of the suicidal nature of small boat insertion, unless we're talking about perhaps an underwater DevGru type landing or SEAL type landing for the oil terminal component, is a high altitude, high opening jump. In other words, either DevGru or SEAL Team 6 or other Tier 1 units dropping from a C-17 or analogous plane will drop in and glide silently in to the oil terminal and airport areas. Here and here, these would be surgical type operations aimed at decapitating the remaining Iranian military leadership on the island. More importantly for the Americans, seizing control of the oil terminal itself. If you think about this, it's almost like the military job would be a DevGru job, as they seem to not be able to leave anything alive. And the oil terminal job would be more of a Delta job, who seem to be a bunch of, middle-aged guys who are probably the best shooters in the entire world, which doesn't change the fact that this entire mission is moronic. The Ranger Regiment of the United States specializes in airport seizures, rather. It's highly likely that they would either also be air parachuting in or potentially coming in on MV-22B Ospreys from one of the carriers in the region. It's very likely that they would be directed towards the airport, and that the Americans would be seeking to hold two pieces of ground centered around the oil terminal and the airport. MARSOC is likely, in my opinion, to be tasked on the oil terminal and the Rangers on the airport, or perhaps a mixture of each on both, as these best suit their operational capabilities. Now, what's most interesting about this is the notion of how they'll get in. Although it's highly likely that the bombing of Kharg Island eliminated most of its air defenses, it's very unlikely it eliminated all of them. That makes insertion via Osprey or via any other airborne platform challenging, while at the same time, insertion via boat is also incredibly challenging due to the fact that this place is mined to hell and back. That's the unknown here. That's why I lean more heavily towards an airborne regiment being dropped in, specifically the Rangers. 2 points of control attempting to be established, one at the airport, one at the oil terminal. And now, despite the notion that many people hold that these Marines are coming in to invade, first of all, an MEU is not really tasked with this type of a sophisticated job. They're more suited to eating crayons. This is tier 1 and tier 2 special operations territory. What the Marines would be tasked for would be holding the island. It's unlikely, given its small size, that there'd be an ability to mount a meaningful insurgency upon it. The main problems that do come to mind, though, and I would think that should the Trump administration decide to action such a plan, there will be casualties, and they're likely to be heavy. And this will come either in the form of casualties from mines or casualties from aircraft being shot down. If you think back to the Russian experience at Hostomel Airport on the first or second day of the Ukraine war, when the incoming paratroopers were just being shot down willy-nilly, I'm not afraid of that scale, but I'm afraid of that precedent and how it might occur at Kharg Island. In turn, and I wouldn't want to see, I don't want to see anybody die, but I mean, there's no good way of doing this. Once it's done, okay, sure. Holding it is not that big of a problem, but doing it, because of mines and because of the unknown of where remaining air defenses is a very significant challenge, both for the tier 1 and tier 2 special units. The presumption that the Marines would eventually be able to get in and hold the territory is premised on a successful execution of this initial plan, which, while likely to occur, might come at a heavy cost. The more significant component of stupidity associated with this whole thing, this whole war in the first place, which doesn't really seem to have been planned in any meaningful way, is who the hell is America planning to negotiate with once it seizes Kharg? Because, okay, if America controls the oil terminal, great. But Mustafa Khamenei, apparently potentially unconscious, potentially in Moscow, doesn't really have the full support of the IRGC, doesn't really have any legitimacy. So exactly who does America plan on using Kharg Island as leverage with to actually solution an end to that war? And this is the abject stupidity of American exceptionalism, taken to its death knell under the Trump presidency at work. American exceptionalism equals young, dead American women and men and women. That's a goddamn shame. But hey, bless your heart, y'all Americans. Bless your heart.